Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is our WWE show for the week. Let's jump right into it with the so-so segments of the night. They weren't bad, they weren't good, they were just there. We have the opening segment with the Authority team trying to recruit Ryback. For their team, we see all that go down. Ryback basically tells them he's someone on their own. To me, it was just same thing we had last week. We didn't really need this segment. It's already been established who's on the Authority team. It's already been established pretty much who's on John Cena's team. The whole thing with Ryback, I understand how it tied in, and we'll get into more of it later on in the show, but I don't know, it just felt unnecessary. It felt like a normal opening Authority segment with Ryback added in. Then we had Adam Rose versus Tyson Kidd. I wanted to put this in the bad section for the whole bunny humping Adam Rose thing. However, the fact that Tyson Kidd is on television and getting wins, I can't hate that much. I really enjoyed that part of it. Other than that, this match, I knew what was going to happen. I knew it was just going to be a catalyst for the Bunny and Adam Rose going forward. But other than that, wasn't enjoyable. Tyson Kidd was really an afterthought. Although, the more we see him on television, the more we see him winning, maybe he'll grow into a prominent role. Interesting fact, if you didn't notice, one of the rosebuds this week was indie wrestling superstar Tessa Blanchard, the daughter of Tully Blanchard. Thought it was really cool. I thought it was awesome to see her on TV. She's a very talented wrestler. If you get a chance, if she wrestles in your area, go out and see her. If not, look her up on YouTube. I'm sure you can find tons of matches with her in it. Very talented female wrestler. I expect her to totally be on the WWE roster very soon. Next up, we have the whole segment with Big Show, Stephanie, and Sheamus. Basically, same thing as Ryback. Offering them to leave. Then she sets up Show versus Sheamus, which gets interrupted by Rusev and Henry, who destroy Sheamus and Show. Show gets put in the Acolyte, the Camel Clutch, and Henry puts Sheamus through the table, thus taking him out of Cena's team. I kind of feel like they've done this a little bit too much with attacking John Cena team members and injuring them. I don't know, it just felt overdone a little bit for me. Next up, we had the four tag teams that will work in the 4-team tag match. We have the Usos and Los Matadors versus the Dust Brothers and Miz and Mizdow. The heel team picks up the win. Again, it was just another clusterfuck of a match. Too much going on, not enough going on, if you know what I mean. Like, they tried to pack so much into a little segment in so many spots that it wasn't enough. It just left okay. It was left a so-so feeling in your mouth. I mean, it wasn't anything special. Now we're going to roll right into the bad segments, the stuff I didn't like. We had Rusev versus newly minted All-American Heath Slater. First off, I guess Slater Gator is done, maybe. Slater's a face now, and also someone that they're feeding to Rusev. I didn't get it. I think Rusev is at the point in his thing. Like I've said, I've not been shy with my feelings on Rusev, and I'm not a real fan of his as of yet, but I think with the way they're pushing him, he should be wrestling bigger names than Slater. No knock on Heath Slater. He's a good wrestler. He's decent. He's good at what he does. But in the grand scheme of things, he's on the lower rung of WWE superstars. When they do their next round of cutting people, he's going to have to worry about his job, whereas Rusev doesn't. So, a different end of the spectrum. Rusev should be moving on to bigger and better opponents, as he was doing with Big Show and Mark Henry. So that's why I didn't like that. Next we have Nikki Bella versus Brie Bella dressed up as AJ Lee with AJ in commentary. Brie picks up the surprise win and gets destroyed by her sister. Again, I'm just tired of the Bella versus Bella storyline. I don't see the payoff on it. I don't care about it. It's not interesting to me. Their acting is so bad that I just don't care. Coming off of that, we're going to go a little bit more of a positive note. We're going to go right into the question of the week. Now, the question of the week last week was, what retired championship would you like to see come back? Got some answers from our friends here, and we'll get into those before I give you mine. First is from our friend Joseph Hatcher. I think the hardcore title should come back because I have already said I like hardcore like wrestlers, and I like hardcore matches, so that is why, all in all, I would love to see one last hardcore match for the hardcore title. I agree. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed the 24/7 gimmick. Their hardcore matches may not have been ECW standards or Combat Zone Wrestling standards or XPW or any other deathmatch style thing. However, they were fun and enjoyable, and it was exciting. It gave you matches without rules, matches without boundaries, where you can be more creative. A guy like Crash Holly used the hardcore title to get himself over, whereas he probably wouldn't have been able to without that belt. At least to the extent that he was. Next up, our friend Yellow Lion 3250. Hey Heel Heat, I'm 34 and I'm an old school guy, so you would know where I'm coming from on this one. I think they should bring back the women's title and the women's tag titles. Get that stupid illusion that they are divas and little princesses out of wrestling, and bring up more women and break them off into tag teams and have titles for them. You have 3 hours to burn on Monday. I agree with that. Plus you have 1 hour on Superstars, 1 hour on Main Event. Also the 2 hours on SmackDown. So all in all, you have 7 hours of television with basically the same wrestlers being used in a circle. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think they should do away with a show like Superstars, or revamp it to where they use one of those network shows as strictly a women's division show. I think it would gain more interest. I'm more interested in seeing a high-level match with like a Paige versus Alicia Fox or AJ Lee versus Natalya Neidhart. I'd rather see that any day over Slater Gator versus the Los Matadors. Just my opinion. I mean, no knock on them two teams, but to me, again, perception is reality. Fans don't want to tune in to see the lower tier talent. They want to see the stars. If you put the divas on their own show, not only will they give them a platform to make themselves stars, it'll also bleed over into their Raw and SmackDown storylines. Then you see, this storyline started on, let's say, Superstars. Then more people will tune into the network, or people that already tune into the network but don't necessarily watch that show will watch that show. Just my opinion. I like both of those ideas. Next up's our friend Benjamin Me19. Hey Heel Heat, I'd like to see the Women's Championship return and replace the Divas Championship. I think in terms of branding, the Divas Championship through name alone lowers the credibility of the division. As a Women's Champion, wrestlers are the best woman. As a Divas Champion, performers are the biggest divas just by association with the name of the title. Also, feuds can't be taken as seriously when wrestlers in the Divas division can easily be written off as just divas, which basically amounts to being just a bitch. How can I care about a feud if I immediately associate a division with a diva-like behavior? With the Women's Championship, it becomes more serious because they are perceived as competitors. Very well said. I agree with every point you made on there. I'm a big proponent of it. I haven't been shy with my opinion. I think the WWE is missing a large portion of potential fans by not treating women respectfully and giving them a fair shot. I think seeing people like Ronda Rousey, and I say this argument all the time, so for those of you who heard me say that, you're going to know I'm going to say it again. People like Ronda Rousey get the opportunity to become a star in mixed martial arts, which is having more and more of an impact in professional wrestling and society in itself. As that sport gains popularity, gains more mainstream acceptance, you're going to see it's already bled into wrestling with tapping out. People didn't used to tap out before MMA. They would do the whole raise your hand thing, and then your hand would go down 3 times, or you'd have to say, I quit. Now you tap out, just like MMA. Stuff like that has made its way in. A move like Alberto Del Rio with the cross arm breaker. That used to be just a stall move. Now, since the invention of MMA, and seeing that in MMA being something that breaks guys' arms, which it literally is a move that can break your arm, it's made its way back into being an acceptable finisher. So I agree. I think they could take a cue from MMA and bring women's stars up to the level where they're on almost an even playing field with the male stars, in my opinion. Next up is from our friend Dizzlepup. Hey George, I agree with Benjamin Mean 19. Diva just makes women's wrestlers look silly. However, I'd like to see the TV title come back. This is for the sole reason that it would give some other minor wrestlers a purpose. At the moment, there is an abundance of talents that must be sitting around out back with their thumbs up their asses. Kingston, Dallas, Rose, Ryder, Axel, Kidd, and even Cesaro now, they have no purpose at the time. And I must have cut that off because, I'm sorry if there was more, I don't know, I must have cut it off when I printed it, sorry about that. I agree. TV title, it will give you that, plus, depending on which rules you go with, I enjoy the TV titles and kind of what TNA tried to do when they had their TV title, have it defended on every TV show. I don't know that WWE would necessarily do that, but maybe every Monday Night Raw, not every Raw, SmackDown, and so on and so forth. But I think a belt that would be defended every Monday Night Raw in TV 15-minute matches, which was most of the TV titles in history have had that rule, I think it'd be an interesting belt to bring back. I agree with a lot of you guys, and a lot of your opinions are awesome. And the belt I would like to see come back is I'd like to see it come back and evolve. And that would be the Cruiserweight / Light Heavyweight Championship. And here's my reason why. Kind of the same reason as the TV title argument we just heard. We have a lot of guys that are of the smaller stature who are extremely talented. Guys that have come in the wake of Daniel Bryan, in the wake of Rey Mysterio, guys that have paved the way for guys that aren't quite 6 foot tall and aren't quite Superman built to become major superstars. There's a whole crop of these guys, and some of them being signed recently, of smaller in stature but extremely talented wrestlers. Now here's where I say I'd like to see it come back but evolve. We have the World Heavyweight Championship. I think we should have a World Cruiserweight Championship. And again, my MMA argument comes in here. A lot of times in MMA, and boxing as well, if you're a boxing fan and you like that analogy better, you have a World Heavyweight Champion, you have a Light Heavyweight Champion, a Cruiserweight Champion, a Flyweight Champion, all kinds of different weight classes. Now, sometimes the most compelling matches are in the lighter weight classes. They give your fans more of something to see. If you created a belt, kind of like when there were 2 world championships, that was only made for the guys under a certain weight limit, the Cruiserweight World Championship, and kept it on the same playing field as the World Heavyweight Championship. I think you could give more of a legitimacy to your roster. Would there be some bleeding? Would some Cruiserweight guys become world champions? Yeah, probably. Would they go for the lightweight titles, or the tag titles, the Intercontinental title? Yeah, that too. However, it gives them another top-tier belt to go for. I understand a lot of people, how they would look at it, how it would be perceived, but if done properly, guys like even a Daniel Bryan or Rey Mysterio, Kalisto down in NXT, different guys could wear that championship, be a main event at pay-per-views, be a main event at Monday Night Raw. They're at a point now where they've redone their pay-per-view model. No longer are they counting on those pay-per-view buys at $60 a piece every month. Now they want us to pay $9.99. Well, at the lower price, I think it affords them the opportunity to experiment a little bit. I mean, you're going to have your major pay-per-views, which are only 4 a year. There's 4 major pay-per-views. There's Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. That's it. Does major stuff happen on the other pay-per-views? Yeah, you got major events happen on any pay-per-view. However, the other 8 are basically filler, for lack of a better term. Why not experiment with the new Cruiserweight title being the main event at one of the lesser pay-per-views? See what fans will tune in, see what they'll do. Because you're going to have the same viewership, you're going to have the same viewer count for the network as you did before. It's not going to change. It may not grow it, it may grow it. It may be awesome to see a guy who's smaller in stature, like a Sami Zayn, going up against Bo Dallas for the light heavyweight the Cruiserweight World Championship. Or a Cruiserweight World Championship tournament as a pay-per-view. There is so much potential, there's so much that they haven't tapped into. And again, that ties back with what they said about the women's division. You could even have a pay-per-view that's headlined by a women's title match, which I think would be great. But these are just my opinions. I like a lot of what you guys said. I agree with everything you said, basically. I think it's something maybe the higher-ups in WWE, hopefully someone in WWE watches this show and maybe they get the suggestions out there. If not, tweet them at WWE. Say, hey, you don't even have to put us in. You don't have to put that we came up with the idea. I'd like to get the credit. I'd like to be on the WWE radar. That would be cool. But tweet them. Say, at WWE, I'd like to see the hardcore title come back for this reason. I'd like to see the Divas title being renamed the Women's title for this reason. I'd like to see the TV title come back for this reason. Maybe they'll listen. Who knows? Now, the question of the week for next week, with Survivor Series coming up this Sunday, my question is, what is your perfect, if you were to build a Survivor Series 4-man team, we'll keep it easier, we'll keep it the smaller of the two, what would be your perfect Survivor Series 4-man crew? Who would you put out there? Who would be your dream team? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on Twitter, put your comments down where? Down there in the box below. Now, coming off of that, we're going to go into our good portions, the stuff I really liked. First off, I'm going to go with one that probably a lot of people didn't. Luke Harper beating Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental title. Not only did I like where it went storyline-wise with Seth Rollins, interfering before the match, I like the fact that Luke Harper, a guy that I think is going to be a major star, I think he's got all the tools and talents to be a big-time player. He looks scary. He's huge. He cuts good promos. He's got great in-ring work. Luke Harper gets the Intercontinental title. I think that's awesome, personally. He's a guy I've been watching for a long time, way back when he was Brody Lee on the independent scene, in places like Jersey All Pro Wrestling, his short stint in Ring of Honor, Chikara, CZW. The guy's got talent, and I enjoy it, and I thought it was awesome he gets it, and I like what they did for the storyline. I think it would be cool if they took that white Intercontinental belt and kind of like his white wife beater shirt, the Intercontinental belt got a little bit dingier and grungier every week. Kind of went with his motif. I think that'd be cool, personally. Either that or give him like a snake skin instead of the white. Something more appropriate for him, flannel, I don't know. Next up, his former stablemate, Bray Wyatt, cuts an in-ring promo, who gets cut off by Ambrose on the Jumbotron. Ambrose attacks from behind. We're getting a little bit more. I think anytime you give these two guys a microphone, I think you're going to get good results from it. They're improving rapidly, and I think they're two of the better talkers already, and probably are going to go as two of the best in history when it's all said and done. Next up, we had Ryback versus Cesaro. Thoroughly enjoyed this match. Two guys that Cesaro can absolutely go with anybody. Ryback doesn't quite get the credit he deserves for being as good as he is. I think Ryback's a very talented wrestler. I think there's a lot of things he brings to the table. Now, is he Daniel Bryan talented? Probably not. Is he Antonio Cesaro talented? No. Is he Dolph Ziggler talented? No. Of course not. There's other more talented wrestlers. But for the style that he employs, I think he's talented, and I think he's a commodity. I think he's somebody that could be a world champion and somebody that could highlight a WrestleMania. I think he's got that in him. Which leads us to the final thing, the whole Survivor Series thing where you see the teams finally flesh out. We see Antonio Cesaro, or just Cesaro now, I'm sorry, I keep calling him Antonio, coming out and fake out Cena, only to be, I guess, backup for the Authority because they already had their 5 members. Then we see Ryback and Eric Rowan join Team Cena to add it up to the 5. So we have Cena, Ziggler, Rowan, Ryback, Big Show versus Rollins, Kane, Harper, Rusev, and Henry. Should be a good match. Should be interesting. I legitimately don't know who's going to win this. And that's good. That's cool when you go into a big pay-per-view like this without knowing. Feels good. I like it better when I can't see who's going to win the championship or who's going to win the big matches than when I can see a mile away what they're building to. I like it better when it's more random, more haphazard, more shocking. Which I think makes a better show. Now, coming off of that, we're going to go into our ratings for the week. We have a 1 to 5 scale. And this is probably the last time this particular scale is going to be used for one reason. The Great Khali has been released. So if a number 1, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best, 1's a Great Khali, 2's a Heath Slater, 3's a Stardust, 4's a Cesaro, 5's a Daniel Bryan. I'm going to give the show a 3, a Stardust. There was some I liked, some I didn't. A lot more so-so portions than I thought there should be. The main event of Survivor Series was built up great. No other match was built up at all. I mean, they had their angles, but in the big scheme of things, they made Survivor Series a one-match pay-per-view, basically, in my opinion. But that's all I have to say on that. My name is George Coles. This has been another episode of Heel Heat.